presents without the wrapping. You're like, that's awesome. This is a Sega Genesis, but it's Christmas. You got to wrap it up.
Sega Genesis, what are we, in the 90s?
Hey, I got a Sega Genesis when I was younger. That was the big Christmas present for me when I was a kid.
I was going to say, I was more of a PlayStation 1 guy myself. Paul's young, so he was excited when in high school when he got a PS3, I think, right?
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
The PS1, the Sega Genesis, I kind of broke the rules and had a little bit of everything. Although PS1, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Digimon, PS1 had a lot going for it.
Now, one of the big takeaways that I felt that was probably that you could have used when it comes to storylines, and this could have kept the card the same way, why did the Shield and Kurt Angle have to win? Because now you just wasted the Shield. Because when Roman Reigns is healthy, that storyline's over. But if they lost, that storyline's not over. Because you could say, we weren't at full strength, bring back Roman Reigns, and have that rematch as the actual Shield.
The Shield's gonna be together for at least for a little bit, don't you think?
Well, now we don't know for the fact that
Roman Reigns will be back soon enough. So
yeah, but when he's back, that gimmick's over with. The Shield is kind of, a Survivor Series. They've already Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins are already moving on. They're already in a match at Survivor Series without Roman Reigns.
I think the thing with Roman Reigns is the illness is not it's the prognosis. He's gonna be fine in the long run, but it could take him a little while to get back. From what
I'm saying is you just wasted the fact that if they would have lost, which that would have been better if they would have lost, because then they have an axe to grind. They have a reason to keep competing. And then when the Shield is back healthy, we have a reason to bring them back together.
Absolutely.
They wasted this. That would be like Michael Jordan playing and then being like, I'm sick and I can't make it. But then the Bulls still winning the championship. And the Michael Jordan's like, I'm back. You're like, we already won. It's over. We're not going to replay these games.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
The storyline is, how many times do you watch football and you're like, oh man, they lost the Super Bowl, but they were without that quarterback. Next year when the quarterback comes back, you're back on that train.
Yeah.
Now they won. So we have no interest in seeing the Shield back together. What can they accomplish?
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you have, even regardless if they win or not? Why would you not have interest in the Shield? I think the Shield's one of those groups where no matter what happens,
because they want to do it as a one-off. They're not bringing them back together for a long time. It's like a one-night only thing. They brought them back and they won. So essentially, they don't have anything for storyline purposes to accomplish.
You don't think they're going to use them for anything between now and WrestleMania?
It's a filler, man. Because they each are individual world championship level guys. Why would you waste that in one match? I know they could get 3 quality matches out of each of them. So
yeah, but you can still build it though. You can still build it against 3 other opponents. You can build it anybody.
You want to see the Shield come back, do the same thing, because that's the thing. They'd have to go through all the Raws we just watched. That's the whole thing. Why don't we have
some sort of turn at a big pay-per-view later on? Why not do something?
Break them up again and then bring them back together and then just replay all the Raws we had where they don't know if they want to be together and then it's a rumor and then, hey, we are together.
Well, no, I would say something along the lines where one of the guys just screws the other one, like in a big match, one of them screws them over. That's what I'm thinking.
One of the Shield members screws over another Shield member.
Yeah, why not?
This is all about selling T-shirts and getting a little one-off and delaying the inevitable, filling a pay-per-view.
I would like to see heel. I like to see a heel turn. I'd like to see a heel turn from, I would say, Roman Reigns, to be honest with you.
How many times?
We've already seen it.
How many times?
Roman Reigns isn't really a heel though.
Yeah,
he's not really anything.
Know.
He's not really anything.
He's definitely heelish. The way he treated John Cena at base and treated him like crap.
They sell him like a baby face though, and John Cena was cutting the same barbs though, and he's a baby face.
But Roman Reigns called him out more so than John Cena calling him out.
I wouldn't say that. I think it was pretty even across the board.
You know why I know the Shield was a one-off thing? Because of the fact that when the injury took place, WWE, instead of saying, all right, let's hold back the Shield and do something else, and then we'll save it. They've already got storylines written for so far down the road that they didn't plan for this to happen. So it's similar to what we've seen in WWE. When a dream match doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen tomorrow. It doesn't happen the next day. When a dream match, we miss it, or the match happens and it's not up to expectations, we're moving on because everybody's got plans. Everybody's got a next, just like in sports. If the great matchup that everybody wants to see doesn't pan out, it's too bad. It's another week of football. They got a new opponent. That's already set. They're moving on.
I think
WWE, if they wanted to save the Shield and they really wanted to do this right,
they should use them in Survivor Series.
Well,
that's what they should.
That's what they should have done. But I'm saying in this particular instance, if they wanted to use the Shield when the injuries took place, they would have held back the Shield. They would have had like Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, maybe move off into separate matches.
They tweaked it.
But
They tweaked the writing, though.
The fact that they had to make the Shield still happen, the fact that they had to put Kurt Angle in the Shield attire means like we already sold the tickets selling the Shield. Tonight is the one night only Shield. That's it. So if it happens tonight, the best way we can do it, or it doesn't. It's like that in the world. When a concert comes to town and they're in a new town tomorrow and they don't know all the songs, well, they're going to do the best they can. They're going to find a keyboardist who's going to fill in and they're going to get it done tonight. They're not going to come back tomorrow and do it appropriately. They've gotten plans. You see Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. They've got plans. They're moving on. They're doing new stuff.
Yeah, but WWE creative changes things all the time, though. Like I've even seen it, but I've even read things where Vince McMahon, like
not for like month-long storylines, because the Shield, when Roman Reigns comes back, that would be another like month-long storyline. That would be another pay-per-view main event.
He's gone back and forth with whether you give Roman Reigns the title or you have him lose. Like there's so many. Like Vince McMahon has been he's actually been out there reportedly, and he's been on the fence on who he wants to win this particular match at WrestleMania or something. They change stuff all the time.
When I saw Kurt Angle in the Shield attire, that showed me that they were going to make this. That showed me what happened back in the 90s when Scott Hall and Diesel both jumped to WCW, and they just put people in their place. They're like, okay, we're going to dress some guy up as Razor Ramon, we're going to dress some guy up as Diesel, and we're going to pretend that they're the same thing and move on. That was kind of like this. They were,
which I don't like that though.
I don't like it either. But
it's stupid.
That's them saying we're having this Shield match. It's happening tonight. And it's not happening in the future. We're getting it done tonight so that Roman Reigns can move on towards his WrestleMania opponent against Brock Lesnar or whatever they have for him. And these guys can do their thing, whether it be singles or tag team. The Shield thing, we advertised it, we pumped it up. It's going to happen tonight. If it doesn't happen tonight, it's not going to happen. And that's why they didn't sell themselves separately, because essentially that's not the Shield who came out of TLC. It was the tag team and Kurt Angle. But they were like, no, we sold the Shield. We put the T-shirts out there. We put them on the posters. We're going to put somebody else. They would have put Kurt Angle in a Roman Reigns wig if they had to and said it was Roman Reigns' brother. They were selling the Shield. They told everybody the Shield is going to be there. It's just like I say, if a band comes to town and the keyboard is hurt, they just find a new keyboarder. They don't call themselves a different band, or they don't say we're going to come back next week when we can do this the right way. They do it then. When the plumber comes to town and he says, hey, I'm not normally going to be here, I'm going on vacation next week, he's going to fix your sink the best way he can, because he's not going to say, well, hold on, I'll come back next week, I'll skip my vacation. He's like, I'm going to get it done today, or I'm not going to get, or are you going to call another plumber?
Yeah, you're going to call somebody else.
Yeah. I
just think they're dropping the ball.
Analogies are great.
Yeah.
So... I mean, it's
plumber,
like you say, I see it's a lot like Paul, he loves his football. It's a lot like football. You have these dream matchups, but there's already teams waiting for them next week.
Wait, Jared, hold on. Let me cut you off there. Dream matchups. Who wants to see anybody versus the Jets? It's just a destruction. Just throwing it out there.
Okay, so essentially they were pushing the Shield on us. It was going to happen, and the fact that they put Kurt Angle in Shield attire and made him come out to the Shield music at first showed that they were really going to sell this as the Shield.
Which sucks.
It's like NWO back in the day when NWO members quit and they just put new T-shirts on new NWO guys, and we're like, no, we're just going to keep this train going, and we'll have everybody in here in NWO if we have to. It doesn't matter if it makes any sense at all. It doesn't matter if there's any stories behind it. We're going to we're telling people the NWO is going to be here. So who cares if Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash quit earlier in the day? We'll throw 3 people in shirts, and we'll say that's the NWO, card subject to change, and deal with it. And that's what they did with us at TLC.
Actually, before we go to break or anything, Jared, I just want to randomly say, did you hear my sportscast today? I said former Syracuse chief Rich Hill. I said that in my sportscast today.
Follow my personal Twitter account. See, there's good reasons to follow my personal Twitter account at Jarod Wicks on Twitter to know a little bit more about that. We all have our things we defend. Some people, are really big into politics. Some people are really big into, the environment. I'm really big into minor league baseball. And my God, even if it's people I work with, I will go to the teeth to make my point across.
Jared,
Paul, I really did. You actually lightened the mood up. I enjoyed. He sent out a tweet earlier today when I was having a little back and forth with somebody of just sitting back and enjoying the back and forth, and that lightened it up to make me realize, that's exactly what this is. Don't let anybody take it too serious. And that's the problem with Twitter. And that's the problem with all social media.
It's called Twitter toughies.
But, and the problem with social media in general.
That's why, Jared,
If the person I was in the quote unquote Twitter feud with is out there listening, it wasn't. It's a conversation I would have with people in person. It's not like a tax. It seems like a tax. It's not like that. It's just me just wanting to talk about something, about trying to get it out there. So I enjoyed your sitting back and enjoying it. Show that it was just a public conversation. That's the best way to put it.
See, that's what I was, because it seemed like it was coming off as a one-on-one boxing match, and the referee just got in between some popcorn, trying to get a accurate analogy. Not quite as good, but I will say, yeah, it felt like that it was getting tense in there, so I thought I had to jump in.
Yeah, and the crazy
Jarod in his minor league baseball, it's super intense.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter if it's with people that that are coworkers I'm employed with. It's not that's the thing. You think I'll go out there with strangers, and I'll do the same for the Heel to the Face podcast. It doesn't matter if you're on the show, and that's what's great about this show. I got lots of things to say, whether it be to Brandon or to Paul. I'll say them right here. I'm not gonna just say them to people out there. It's not us against the world. It's sometimes us against us. So that's how this works. And we disagree this week on tables, ladders, and chairs. I like where the storyline's going towards Survivor Series, but I'm gonna before we head to commercial on say one thing. I am not interested, really, in any of the Survivor Series matches that are announced. They have potential to be okay matches, but, again, there's no real stories behind them, and worst part is champion versus champion is only good if it means title versus title. If it means person versus person, that, to me, is a house show.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And that was kind of my thing. It's like, originally when I first kind of saw the reveal by Kurt Angle this week, I'm like, okay, champion versus champion, we're going to have some cool, crazy stuff here. And then I'm like, no. I'm like, they wouldn't do this. And then the same kind of feeling I got was, so this is a glorified house show. Great.
No title. That's the best part. If you miss Survivor Series the next day, you'll know that all the champions that you remember will still be the same. Except maybe Enzo Amore. Maybe they'll keep going back and forth with him and Kalisto. He is currently the new champion. In case you didn't miss this week, he won it on the pay-per-view, and he did defend it on 205 Live. So Enzo Amore is still the Cruiserweight champion. He's the new and still Cruiserweight champion. That's really the only thing that happened between last week's show and this week's show when it came to championship changes. But when it comes to Survivor Series, there will be no titles on the line, so hopefully somebody delivers some way, or I'm going to be more interested in that NXT event on the night before. And maybe even the Raw the night after. Who knows? But we got to take a break, and when we return, we will have more intrigue and more questions. But there will be just questions. It's the 3 count, the 3 questions that we bring up every single week on the show, including the Twitter question of the week, as you are listening to the Heel to the Face podcast on Sports War Radio, Rat Pack Radio, and on iTunes.
The New York Jets are rising and are ready to compete in the AFC. Boy Green and Ty Butler will give you everything you need to know about the Jets every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. From reviewing the previous game and looking ahead to the next matchup, to all of the news and its 4 downs, the Jet Zone has everything. Follow @BoyGreen25 and @TyDButler on Twitter. Proud member of Sports War Radio. Let the battle begin.
This program is simulcast on WRPR Rat Pack Radio. Go to ratpacksports.com for more information.
Do you want to stay up to date on the latest sports news? Come check out After the Whistle from 4 to 5 p.m. every Friday night. We talk about the NHL, we talk about the NFL, we talk about the MLB, you name it, we got it. Tune in on Sports War Radio.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications for driven and knowledgeable sports fans who want to start their very own podcast about their favorite team. Sports War Radio has an international audience and is growing fast. Don't miss the chance to become the go-to news source for your favorite team. Email sportswarradio@gmail.com and tell us why you would be a great addition to our team. Sports War Radio. let the battle begin.
Now is the time to get your voice heard. Sports War Radio is now accepting applications.